Part 3. Did you make notes while you were watching the performances of Romeo and Juliet Gemma? Yes, I did. I found it quite hard though. Kept getting too involved in the play. Me too. I ended up uh, not taking notes. I wrote down my impressions when I got home. Do you mind if I take a few things with you in case I've missed anything? And I've also got some questions about our assignment. No, uh, it's good to talk things through. I may have missed things too. Okay, great. So, first of all, I'm not sure how much information we should include in our reviews. Right. Well, I don't think we need to describe what happens, especially as Romeo and Juliet is one of Shakespeare's most well-known plays. Yeah, everyone knows the story. In an essay, I would focus on the poetry and Shakespeare's use of imagery, etc. But that isn't really relevant in a review. We are supposed to focus on how effective this particular production is. Hmm. We should say uh, what made it a success or a failure. And part of that means talking about the emotional impact of the performance had on us. I think that is important. Yes, and we should definitely mention how well the director handled the important bits of the play, like when Romeo climbs onto Juliet's balcony and the fight between Mercutio and Tybalt. Yes, it would also be interesting to mention the theater space and how the director used it, but I don't think we'll have space in 800 words. No, no, okay. That all sounds quite straightforward. So, what about the Emporium Theatre's production of the play? I thought that some things worked really well, but there were some problems too. Yeah, what about the set, for example? I think it was virtually really stunning. I'd say that was probably the most memorable thing about this production. You're right. The set design was really amazing, but actually I've seen a similar ideas used in other productions. What about the lighting? Some of these screens were so dimly lit it was quite hard to see. I I didn't dislike it. It helped to change the mood of quieter scenes. That's a good point. What did you think of the costumes? Uh, I was a bit surprised by the contemporary dress, I must say. Yeah, I think it worked well, but I had assumed it would be more conventional. Me too. I think the music at the beginning, and I thought the musicians were brilliant, but I thought they were wasted because the music didn't have much impact in Acts 2 and 3. Yes, so that was a shame. One problem with the production was that the actors didn't deliver the lines that well, and they were speaking too fast. It was a problem, I agree, but I thought it was because they weren't speaking loudly enough, especially at key points in the play. I actually didn't have a problem with that. It's been an interesting experience watching different versions of Romeo and Juliet, hasn't it? Definitely, it's made me realize how relevant the play still is. Right. I mean, lots have changed since Shakespeare's time, but in many ways nothing's changed. And there are always a disagreement and tension between teenagers and their parents. Yes, that's something all young people can relate to, more than the violence and the extreme emotions in the play. How did you find watching it in translation? Really interesting. I expected to find it more challenging, but I could follow the story pretty well. I stopped worrying about not being able to understand all the words and focused on the actors' expressions. The ending was pretty powerful, yes, that somehow intensified the emotion for me. Did you know Shakespeare's been translated into more languages than any other writer? What is the reason for his intentional appeal, do you think? I was reading that it's because his plays are about basic themes that the people everywhere are familiar with. Yeah, and they can also be understood on different levels. The characters have such depth, right, which allows directors to experiment and find new angles. That's really important because part 3, questions 21 to 30. Questions 21 and 22. Choose two letters, A to E. Which two things do the students agree they need to include in their reviews of Romeo and Juliet? Personal reaction, reference to particular scenes. Questions 23 to 27. Which opinion do the speakers give about each of the following aspects? The Emporium's production of Romeo and Juliet. Choose five answers from the box and write the correct letter A to G next to questions 23 to 27. Opinions, aspects of the production. They sit. They agree. This was a major sentence. They light. They agree, and this created the right atmosphere. And the costume design. They both expected and this to be more traditional. The music. They were both disappointed by this. The actor's delivery. They disagree about why this was an issue while choose the correct letter A, B, or C. The students think the story of Romeo and Juliet is still relevant for young people today because it deals with problems that families experience. And the students found watching Romeo and Juliet in another language moving. Why do the students think Shakespeare's plays have such international appeal? They can be interpreted in many ways.